Crouse.
Now, when you're writing something like Survival of the Dead, there are, from the first film on, there's been more, I don't want to say comedy, but there's been more humorous elements added into the film, but they are still very much satire. And when you write something like that, I wonder, do you still feel the sort of pangs of anger that you would have from the early days, from your work in the early days, or are you sort of concentrating on the more humorous aspects, or is it a mix of both?
It's certainly not the same kind of anger. I mean, when we made that film, we were children of the 60s. The big thing that everyone talks about Night of the Living Dead is the racial stuff. That was almost accident. I mean, Dwayne Jones was the best actor from among our friends, and we thought we were being very hip by not changing the script when we had an African American that was going to play the lead. But some of the anger in that film, the stuff against family, the stuff against establishment, the whole, I don't think you can ever get that back. And so starting with the second film, which I resisted making a second film for years, 10 years, because people started to write about Night of the Living Dead like it was important American cinema. And I said, "Oi, what am I going to do now?" And I socially knew the people that were developing this big shopping mall near Pittsburgh. It was the first one that any of us had ever seen, big indoor shopping mall. I went out to visit. Before it had opened, the trucks were rolling in with everything that, the American heart could desire. And I said, okay, here's an idea. And from that point on, I said, wow, I can have fun with this. I can have fun with the genre and still say a little something, or at least express my opinion. And from that point, I started to, and it was only really from that point that I started to insist to myself that the movies had to be about something.
Right. Now, for the new film, Survival of the Dead, how did you come up with the family feud aspect of it? And is it getting, are the scenarios coming to you as easily as perhaps they once did, or do you ever find the genre limiting in any way?
I don't find it limiting. In fact, I find it wildly welcoming.
Right.
It's like I can pull the zombies out of the closet and make a movie about anything I want to make it about. It's been terrific that way. This film, long story, I'm sorry. We made Diary of the Dead, the last one, on so little money that despite the fact that it had a limited release, it wound up making a fortune. So everybody said, okay, we want another one. So my idea was, well, how about this? And this would be more fun for us, the filmmakers, Adam and the production designer, Arv, and everybody. How about if we do 3? What if we make another one and it makes a lot of money? You're going to want another one. So I made notes on 3 different story ideas, all of them revolving around minor characters from Diary. And I don't know if this is ever going to happen or not. It may not. It depends on how much money Survival makes. But I'd love to do it. I'm also finding myself able to use characters because we have ownership in this, whereas the first 4 films are owned and controlled by different people.
Right.
So I can cross-collateralize and use characters and plot points and everything else in other films. So, it all sort of came together that way. When I faced with having to do another one, I said, okay, I don't have anything to write about right now, so I'll write about the most universal thing that I can, which is the idea of wars that develop and people forget what started them, but we're enemies. And I said that could be anything from Northern Ireland to Middle East to the U.S. Senate. And so I made it about a much more generic theme. And that's where that came from. And the moment I started to write it, and I developed these 2 old feuding characters, I happened coincidentally to watch on Turner Classic Movies an old William Wyler Western called The Big Country. And I said, oh, man, wouldn't it be great fun to emulate this? So I had the DP and the production designer and everybody come over, and we watched that movie and said, let's do this. And if we make another one, maybe we'll do it noir, and if we make another one, maybe we'll do it, I don't know, whatever.
I love that. A screwball comedy.
Yeah. So, it's hard to say when the ideas hit you, but they just hit you, and that's what it's all about.
Right. Now, you're Torontonian Canadian now. You live in Toronto.
Yep.
Last year, during the festival, you were given the most insane award I've ever seen, a CN Tower with a bloody hand gripping it. Survival played at the festival last year. Tell me if you have any memories of the Toronto International Film Festival, like one moment where you could kind of go, this is a cool festival, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Well, first of all, I always thought it was. I'm going to go way, way back. I mean, when I was first invited to show Martin here, Robin Wood hosted a screening of Martin during the festival. It wasn't actually in the festival. And I met a lot of people and writers from up here and sort of fell in love with the place. So I think my fondest memory is that moment. It was one of the first times, because I'd made this film called Martin, which went out on very, very limited release, and nobody seemed to get it. And it was the first time that film, somebody actually said, wow, this is an okay film to watch. So that's my fondest memory. Right now, I love I don't like the Hollywood atmosphere that happens, and I don't go hang out at Bistro or anywhere else when the festival is on. But it's been wonderful that we've been invited the last 2 years, and Colin Geddes in the Midnight Madness category has always been great, and he's a good friend, and so I can't pick a specific moment. I love being here. I love being part of it. I mean, we joined the Cinematheque or whatever that thing is over at the museum, and I love the fact that cinema is alive here. I mean, more than anything else, it's that. Unfortunately, I've never sort of been able to, just as with most of the sort of major festivals, I've never been able to just go and watch movies. I'm usually either involved or staying away from that.
Well, and I would also think that you're so recognizable that it might be difficult for you to go, because you're putting yourself in the middle of a theater full of film fans. You wouldn't be able to enjoy the movie probably.
Probably not too much. I can sneak in and out. If I take my big goggles off, that's what most people recognize as I wear these big glasses. But I can usually sneak in and out. But no, you're right. I don't. That's not the stuff that I like at all. I wish I could sneak in and be completely anonymous, but it's hard.
Well,